Hello, everybody. Thank you so much in joining us at the place where hope is happening, the Hopenning. I'm Marina, and I'm here with my lovely host, Fran, my very dear friend. And we have our very dear friend, Judy, as a guest today, and Fran will introduce her in a moment. The Hopenning, the place where hope is happening. This is episode number 54, where we talk about anything and everything that will bring hope to the world. And we always have amazing guests to join us in that. Fran is a full-time teacher, elementary school. She's been doing that for the last 34 years. And she does rapid transformational therapy part-time. I'm a full-time rapid transformational therapy practitioner and a clinical hypnotherapist. We both of us are in Alberta, Canada, where we are putting a smile on the face every single day, even though the weather is frightful. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire in here is delightful. So here we are with episode number 54.
And thank you, Marina. And actually, the weather is not frightful outside. It's quite nice, actually. And so I'll take it. I'll take that because it is January 2023 when we are recording this. But both Marina and Judy, you are both from South Africa, where at this time of year, you're on the beach, right? We welcome back Judy Wilkins-Smith. Applause, please. Judy was a special guest of ours back in October on Hopenning number 39. And she has so much wisdom, we just had to invite her back. So Judy is a highly regarded organizational, individual, and family patterns expert, systemic coach, trainer, facilitator, thought partner, leadership conference, and motivational speaker, and founder of System Dynamics for individuals and organizations. Judy comes to us with 18 years of expertise in assisting high-performance individuals, Fortune 500 executives and their teams, as well as legacy families, to break limiting cycles and reframe challenges into lasting breakthroughs and peak performance. And Judy, you are also an author of an amazing book, Decoding the Emotional Blueprint. You have these retreats that you host in amazing places. And the last time we talked to you, you were going to go to Disney World like the following week, but there's so much that more that I could say about you, but you do this amazing constellation work that I had never heard about before. So that's really cutting edge. It's cutting edge therapy. So welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me back. I want to know what "it's nice outside" means in Alberta, Canada. What is the temperature there?
Well, it's around 0 degrees here in Calgary.
Okay, it's not 0. It's not. It's -5, which is like, oh my God, it's like spring. Feels like spring.
It's
No, we're at 50 and I'm freezing.
I want to translate that, and my husband would be zipping it out like this. I'm going to look it up. Celsius to Fahrenheit. There you go.
Yeah.
And I believe 0 is 32 degrees.
Right.
Yes. So, yeah.
So you're at about 32 or 28. No, we're at 50. We're due to go down a bit. Thanks to Canada, because you keep sending us your weather. Don't do that.
Amazing.
I know why I live in Texas. I love living in Texas. Normally it's good, but when you send us the white stuff, we don't know what to do with it. Don't send it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So last time you were here, Judy, we delved into what family constellations work is all about. For our viewers who may have forgotten, or for any viewers that are new to us, can you give us a summary again of constellation work? I mean, for someone who maybe hasn't heard about it before, it kind of sounds like stars. We're looking at the stars.
Yes. And everybody thinks you're an astrologer, but no. So, but if you look at the stars, think about a sign, one of the zodiacs, one of those constellations, right? Every single one of those stars has their exact place. It's mapped, it belongs there, that's where it is. It can't not belong. If you move any one of those, it's not the same constellation anymore. Something has shifted. We're exactly the same. You have a place in the family system. It cannot be anybody else's place. And your place includes things like miscarriages, stillbirths, abortions, those who were adopted out. They all have a place. Now, when that system is functioning well, it's in balance and it's in harmony, and we do really well. And for all of us, we have both limiting and liberating family patterns. We have some really strong ones that get us places. When the chips are down, where do we go to? What are the sayings that we tell ourselves? The thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's your emotional DNA. And you inherit that as much as you inherit physical DNA. The difference is, if it's limiting, you can tweak it and reframe it in head, heart, and gut so that it then becomes an empowering one. If you've got a strong one, that doesn't mean you just rest. It means, what can I add? Now, if you have, so for many of us, we hear something, and if it resonates in our body and our brain says, yep, that's a match. So now I'm that stupid person who can't do math because everybody told me that, and now we have a match. However, somebody comes along and says, nobody in your family can do math, and you're sitting here going, but I kind of like it. And the body's going, no, we can't do math, and the brain's going, I like it. Well, now we've got an opportunity for change. If we then decide, I'm going to study math and become really good at it, look at me, and the body goes, okay, now we've got a new match, which means we can then start new emotional DNA. And with repetition and laying down of those neural pathways, this becomes the new way. People say to me, it can't be that simple. It's that simple, and you have to keep practicing it because your brain has to tell your body a story that your body can believe. When the body buys it, and the brain buys it, and the gut buys it, so it's head, heart, gut. When those three all sync, you have a new path. And the other piece that's important is that it's got to be stronger than the pattern you may be stuck in. So saying, I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to be wealthy is going to get you flat nowhere, because you've got the family system going, nobody in the family is wealthy. No, money is wrong. It's greedy, it's evil, it's bad. But I want to be, no. For as long as you're more attracted to that, you're going to get stuck in that system. So you may get some, and then you'll go quite unconsciously, oh no, and you'll U-turn. But if you look at it and you go, I see what happened, I understand the pattern, I want to do it differently. Come on, money, let's be friends. I'm going to learn a new way, and then maybe I'll share it with the family, and it becomes a really big adventure for you, and you start to create this whole new pattern. It's stronger than this one. And the minute it becomes an adventure or a purpose and it really excites you, you can now pull away from all of the old sayings. You can thank them, you can give them their place, and you can migrate to where you are. So you become the change agent. So that's systemic work. And then the other piece about constellations is it's highly interactive. I either will have a board because I do it virtually, or if people attend my live events, we use live representatives. And what you'll notice is we're all super capable of tuning into each other's systems. If you watch somebody on a radio show or listen to them and watch them on a TV show, and they have their moment, like American Idol or something, and you see them suddenly pop through and you get goosebumps, you're sensing into their system. Or you look at somebody walking past and go, whoa, I'm not getting near that. They really don't look good. You're sensing into their system. And all that we do in a constellation is we maximize that. We teach you how to do that so that when you come in as a client and you pick representatives and you place them for me the way that that is for you, say it's relationships, and we dimensionalize that by putting representatives in. Now, instead of thinking about it, where you can't see the relationship between the different elements, you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you're walking in it, you can test it, You can see how it hits you. You can try new language. And the piece that happens with that is because you're using multiple senses, it gives you different insights. It hits the body viscerally, so it starts to rewire in the moment. And often that's pretty quick. And so you'll see people jolt and rewire and jolt and rewire. And they will often say to me the next morning, my brain was busy the whole night. I can't think the same way. I'm having new thoughts about relationships or money or leadership. I let go of something that really wasn't mine, or that it was time to set down. And that whole visceral piece allows them to pretty much shape shift and rewire, and then move into a transformative state. So if you come to a live event, you will not only see it and represent for it, you're also going to be having multiple shifts with every single one that you watch. So I teach it very logically, and it's deeply transformative.
Sounds extremely practical as well.
It's practical. And Marina, that was the whole point of the book and the whole point of the way I teach it. A lot of any of these modalities are all about, let's help the broken person heal, which is fine. And then what? Healing is one piece. Mm-hmm. This piece goes, and then what? So it looks then at, what is your purpose? What is the goal? What is one next step? What's changing for you? Because you need to take that somewhere. What is the adventure? What's possible now? Yeah, but very applicable. The minute you do it, you can start using it.
So I have a question about different things that people would come to you with, different issues. Like, what we deal with, I deal a lot with weight loss, or mm-hmm. I don't like the word loss, because if I lose my car keys, I want to find my car keys.
Exactly yes. Right.
But if I want to lose weight, I never want it back. So I like to use the word reduce or release, or yes. whatever thing, something that's never going to come back. So I work a lot with that. So how would you help somebody with that?
What, with a weight loss? I'm yes. like you. I go straight to your brain's going to go in search of what you've lost.
Right.
I want to understand what the weight gain is about. So where did that come from? I've had people, there are so many systemic components to this. Often if you gain weight, it may be things like, I'm expanding my mass to include a missing one.
Right.
What I cannot take into my soul, I'm taking in through my mouth, because there's a big thing with emotional food and physical food. The two get confused. We should have limitless emotional food and limited physical. If we can't get the limitless emotional, the brain starts to wobble and it translates. And now we go for limitless physical food. And so it's getting that back to, where did it start? What was the root? What do you tell yourself about that? What do you feel about it? What are the actions? Where did those come from? Was there someone in the family, or was there a precipitating event for you? And then it's all about, what is the gift or the pattern trying to emerge through this? Because there is a strength trying to emerge and get your attention. And that's where I focus is, we've done this, we've acknowledged it, we've given it its place. Now let's look at what it's trying to become. The other thing that I'll see is people who can't find joy. And often they are the joy they're looking for. It's that it was stopped way back here, and they're actually the ones to unblock it again and let it flow. So quite often when we bring an issue, we're really bringing ourselves as the potential solution.
Do you have any examples of the one that Marina said about weight release? I don't even want to use that.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I actually, I had somebody come to me and she said to me, she'd had 7, there's a name from, I think it's a granuloma that you get in the uterus. It's a benign cyst, but it grows. She'd had 7 of them, and there was an 8th one starting to grow. She said, my body can't seem to stop that, and I can't lose weight. I keep putting on the weight. And so I said to her, okay, You've had 7. Who was lost in the family? Because you're talking about loss. You're talking about all of these that keep repeating. And she went, no, oh, yes, there were. There were 7 children lost by my grandmother. She lost 7 children and the women never really got over it. Well, they also wouldn't talk about it and they wouldn't bring it to resolution. And in a system, anything you exclude creates a pattern that expands and repeats. The details may fade, but the pattern grows and it keeps repeating because it's trying to call attention to what's not being seen. Well, remember I said to you, every single star has its place. Every single being has its place. And if you start to exclude it, the system keeps saying, I'm just going to bring it back to your attention until they are re-membered and they have their place. So we put up representatives for each of those. The doctor actually had sent her to the event because they couldn't figure it out either. And they said, we've heard of this, just go and see. And after she did that, no more. Amazing. And she also didn't need to keep putting on weight. So she actually said, I can release having to hold all of these missing ones. I can set it down now. That was it. So it's really looking at the core issue. What is the root of that?
What if you don't know if there was ever, abortions or miscarriages or if the records aren't there anywhere?
Systems are elegant. Systems are elegant. They will work with you. If you don't know, you timeline your own life and you start to look at what were the triggers for me putting on weight? Where did that first begin? What was happening in my life at the time? What were the results of that? Where are the triggers now? How have these repeated? Because the system, if you don't have access to that, has access to you, and so do you. So you start timelining that, you're going to find it anyway.
Just a segue into my next question as well is, I saw a quote today that I shared to our Hopenning group. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you.
Absolutely right. And one of Bert Hellinger's best, happiness takes courage.
Right.
It takes 2 things, courage and commitment. If you want it, it's like anything. We think that if we meditate beautifully on a sunbeam, it's going to float in. Life is an adventure. It's asking you to go and find it. And you're exactly right. It comes from you, not to you.
And I think a lot of things that people want in life is exactly the same, like love and even abundance. It's not something that has to come to you. It's something that has to come from you. And that is kind of the segue, as I said, into my next question. And that is about the state that we live in today, where everybody is a victim, where everybody is waiting for something to come to them instead of from them. So let's talk a little bit about that. I know it's something that you're passionate about.
Yes, victims. Here's the deal. Every single one of us, doesn't matter who we are, comes from a culture, an ethnicity, a background where somebody hurt somebody else, and now we're still trying to pay for it decades or centuries later, and we're now asking people to do reparation and all sorts of things. Here's what we miss. There are 2 paths. One is the perpetrator's path. So something happened, your great did something to my great. Your road as the perpetrator family or system is, how do I champion the underdog? How do I turn that around? How do I instill a love for those who are not where I am without taking away their journey? Here's where the victim gets stuck. And every one of us has been a victim at some point. But here's where the victim gets stuck. And I got into trouble for this. Remind me to tell you about that. But so as a victim, you're coming down the victim path. You've been disadvantaged. You've not had all the opportunities. What you are missing is that you probably have an even bigger adventure than this path. You get to go and move through that victim piece. You get to take the steps that'll take you to the next level. You get to actually stand up there as a proud member of whichever group was disadvantaged and say, that was then, this is now. And I'm a living, breathing member of this is now. Now, there is a watch out for a victim. If you keep acting like a victim, you're not going to move. And if you then become the new perpetrator, congratulations, you're now on this path and you'll have that to travel. The biggest adventure for the victim is to look at it and say, I'm not a victim. I have opportunity. I have an adventure you may not ever have. And yes, it may be a little difficult, but here we go. In fact, Marina, there's a great one that you'll understand very well. I grew up in Pretoria for a large portion of time. And when I went to work, they said to me, we only speak Afrikaans here. You better learn because we are not going to speak English. Now, I was lucky. I come from parents who don't teach you to be sorry for yourself. And my thing was, okay, so I'm going to learn Afrikaans. And I can remember walking away the one day thinking, so who's richer, me or you? Because I can now speak 2 languages. You can only speak 1. And this is the opportunity for anybody who's been in that kind of situation. You're being offered a gift. Become bilingual, people. Don't sit in that. Now, I told you I got into trouble. So I was on a podcast and somebody said to me, you don't understand. Suffering is sacred. And I said to him, well, suffering hits us all at some point, and frequently it kind of brings you into contact with your inner self and your sacred being. But if you choose to stay there, suffering is stupid. And I think I got about 12,000 replies. I kid you not. And they were on varying sides of the aisle. The point still remains. If you choose to stay there, simply acknowledge, I am choosing to stay stuck because it is a choice.
So, Judy, you have stepping stones. You talk about systemic stepping stones. And I was listening to you today. It was about the do-it-yourself constellation. So
Right.
chances are, where I am up in Northern Alberta, Canada, I'm not going to be able to come to a full-on retreat where there's actual humans there. There's a chance for virtual, but there's a do-it-yourself one, right? So
Yes.
just, can you tell us a little bit about that, just to pique our interest, and maybe this is something that we can do, like.
Very much. And that was also the purpose of a book. And by the way, if you read my book, you will actually find that I never do a retreat. I don't like that word. I do not retreat. We move forward. So I do events. I also don't do workshops because I don't want people coming and thinking this is hard work. No. But to get to your question, a do-it-yourself constellation is really helpful. And it teaches you to begin listening to yourself and to your family system. You can use the plants behind you. You can use anything that's on your desk. And what you do is you ask yourself a question. So I want, or you pose an idea. I really want better relationships. I struggle with relationships. Okay. So I'm going to put down a representative for me, a representative for relationships, one for mom and one for dad. So we start with that. So you could put those plants down or whatever you're using and put them the way that it feels for you. So when I say that, this is what I mean. I'm going to put relationships over there because I struggle with them, right over there on the edge. I'm going to put dad sort of next, and dad over here. I'm going to put me next to dad, and I'm going to put mom over there. Well, if you look, you've got mom and relationships over there. So the question you ask yourself is, did mom struggle with relationships? Yes, she did. She had 2 divorces. So what about grandma? Let's put one down for grandma. Did she struggle? Oh yeah, she also had 2 of those. Do you understand there's a pattern? Okay, so what was the pattern? What do I remember mom saying about men? What do I remember grandma saying about men? What do I say about men or partners if it's a same-sex partner? What do I say about relationships? And then pay attention. Listen to what you say, what you feel, and all of the actions or inactions you take around that. And then start asking yourself, do I want this to be true for me now? What are the possibilities? Go back to your thoughts, feelings, and actions and begin to see how you've got yourself trapped and how you might use another piece of language or a sentence, what we call a systemic sentence. How might you use something different that gives you a very different feeling? Okay, mom and grandma, so you didn't do well with relationships. It was about to be my life's mission because I want a good relationship. So all the times that you push the guys away, we don't want to push guys away. Grandma, you told them they were stupid. I do that too. Stop calling men stupid. Men are just going to make you small. I need to find a guy who's not going to make me small. Now you're starting to give yourself clues. So by the time you walk out of that, you may be able to say to those two representatives, watch me, I'm doing it differently. You may be able to say to dad, I need to stand a little closer to mom, but you're safe, so I don't want you far away, so come on with. But standing in the line of women, I'm about to do it very differently. And when you can say that and you can feel it and your gut gets it, now you know you're on the right track. And it's super easy to do with anything that you've got in the house. It gives you dimension and direction, and you can see who's connected and who's not connected. In fact, I often say to people, if you write down mom, put an arrow at the top, because that then makes your paper directional. And you can place it down and go, oh, mom's always facing out. You know, that's true. She's kind of never present. What's that about? So you're teaching yourself to start inquiring into the system and seeing, do you really need to struggle with that issue anymore? Or because you're looking, is the system going, go, 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 do it differently. Come on, you can do this. And it's a very simple but very, very profound way of teaching yourself to dimensionally dissect issues and create dreams and paths.
So after you ask yourself all these questions and how you're going to change your language, you actually physically move your piece?
No, before. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, I would like a relationship. Mm-hmm. I don't do well at relationships. So we're going to take relationships and put it over there. Okay? And then we're going to take mom and dad. And the reason I say mom and dad is I will then say to you, after you've got mom and dad situated, in other words, where would mom be in relation to relationships and where would dad be? Then place yourself, because now you're going to see, am I closer to mom in the way that I function or closer to dad? When did that start? Why am I closer to mom? What happened for mom? What happened for grandma? If I'm closer to dad, what happened for dad? What happened for his line in terms of relationships? How has that affected me? So you're placing those first and then looking, because the minute you look, you can, for the first time, you can see, who am I closer to? Who looks in? Who looks out? Who's closer to relationships? What do relationships look like? Have I got relationships with an arrow on it facing out or running off the floor? Or is it trying to get close to me? And as I interact with this, do I find myself moving my own marker closer to relationships and perhaps further away from mom and dad? What allows me to move closer to that representative so that I can say, yes, please? Does that make better sense?
Yeah, you're using relationships as a piece, right?
Exactly.
So if you were using relationships as a piece, you could also use money as a piece, or
money,
you could use
illness, leadership, career, right. Any of those. You don't have to. I mean, and I've done some wild and wacky ones. I've done one with a desk as a representative because there was a fight over a desk. And what you discover is objects become people. So I did one with a desk. I've done one with a horse. My wildest one was probably somebody who was speaking about another planet and having been at another planet. So when you put those down, you begin to understand what's really going on. And yes, the one with the other planet was really interesting.
Now I'm curious.
What had happened was there was sort of the suggestion that they had come from another planet, which, okay, I really don't know, is that a yes or a no, because none of us do. But when we had a look at it, it was, I don't feel welcome to this planet. I don't feel like I belong on this planet. Actually, I don't feel like I belong with this family. Actually, I don't feel like mom and dad love me. So it went all the way back to that, but started way over there. So it's never something that goes, so what now? It's more like, okay, this is curious. Where are we going to go with this? And what's going to show up? And I think that there are two keys to this work. One is to be curious. And the other one is that it's a very non-judgmental space. It doesn't care.
And I love that in this case, the planet and the distance was just like you use the word representative a lot. It was just representing.
Exactly right.
What
the
was
desk
really
was
going
the same.
on. Right.
Yep. So it's to find, what does this want to represent? What's it actually saying? Right. Who is this desk? And who is this planet? Money is one of my favorites, because money can represent just about anything in the world. Love, joy, leadership, self-worth, health, you name it, money can represent it. So it's to find out, what is money trying to say, and who is that?
So if we were to look at boundaries, like I do struggle with boundaries, it comes up and comes up and comes up. Would you put boundaries as an inanimate object with an arrow or whatever, or how does that work within this the constellation?
So there are a bunch of things. Yeah, there are a bunch of things I would ask you. I might well put boundaries up, and then put mom and dad, and then see, okay, how do mom and dad relate to boundaries? And how do you relate to boundaries with respect to mom and dad? So what's happening there? When did that first start for you as a child? How did you learn, if you struggle with boundaries, that boundaries might be dangerous for you? They might exclude you from something. You might feel like you hadn't given enough to the system. You might feel like people wouldn't like you, or you weren't good enough. And so your boundaries become really loose. You then wind up giving too much and receiving too little. And we talk about, you then go into service of the system. If I ask you, in this room, can you tell me who likes what? You'll be able to name off everything that everybody likes. If I say, what do you like? You're like, what? You've gone into service of the system. You have given yourself up to the system. The problem with that is, you're going to teach your kids that, if you have kids, and you have, even if you don't have biological kids, you've got all of those students, and you're going to teach them that it's okay for them to give too much, be exhausted, wish that things were better, but you won't teach them to say, here's how I want to be treated. Here's what is yes and no for me at the end of the day when I'm tired. And it weakens the entire system. It's never just about you. So the invitation to you is, the boundaries are not just about you. You're teaching students. You're teaching communities. If you've got kids, you're teaching your kids, and you want them to be able to say, this really works for me and this doesn't. Because if you can't, you also don't know what your big adventure is. You're too busy serving everybody else's big adventures.
I love that. Yeah. So, Judy, we all have generational stuff, and not all of it is good, right? Not all of the stuff that was handed down to us was good. And my question to you is, what if it presents itself as something that was really not good, that nobody wants to talk about, that
Yeah,
it's
that's
all
about
hidden,
how it shows up.
right? So like generational, maybe it's 3 generations back.
Right.
There's something that happened that we just don't talk about it. It's been buried. There might be little rumors or something, but it's
Oh, yeah,
just
and those little rumors are going to become bigger and bigger rumors until it's dealt with.
right. And it's going to keep on reappearing, isn't it? This
Absolutely.
maybe sense of self-worth has been affected by this, or maybe this inability to get along with certain people, or people in your family, or people that maybe express those types of traits. What do you do for people who obviously there was stuff in the past that we just don't talk about? It was just not good.
Well, the first thing is I tell them did you see Encanto? There's a movie called Encanto, right? You know, the We Don't Talk About Bruno? That's a synonym for all the things in the family we don't talk about. And it cracks the foundations, like you saw in the house. Because until everything is given its place, it's going to keep causing a rumble. Now, if it was really not good, I'm going to tell you straight off, there is no such thing as it was really not good. It's all good. What happened or what was done may not have been nice. It's still good, because it's going to keep on coming down until somebody gives it its place, somebody sees the gift, and somebody uses the gift. So it is never not good. It is good. And I'll give you an example of, and it's about choice. There are terrible things that happen to people. You have 2 people who get injured in an accident. They're both paralyzed from the neck down. One says, my life is over. The other one says, I have found a purpose. It is all in our meaning making. So there are 2 things. We've got to be careful of meaning making and super careful of assumptions, because we can literally make heaven or hell with both. And it's your choice. I've seen people who tell me the most horrendous stories of abuse, and they're the most incredible people, because what they chose was to bring joy and to bring enlightenment and to bring about, they chose. And at some point, whether it's now or whether it's very much later in your life, and if there is such a thing as another life, I don't want to repeat that. I would rather learn it now. I would rather make the choice now. And life is out there. It has absolutely no deadline on when you choose joy. So at what point do you want to do that? We are so wedded to the old patterns of, we must suffer because Jesus and God are going to give us the cross, and then they're going to book our seat in heaven. And Jesus and God are probably sitting there going, who wrote this rubbish? Choose, people. We gave you a beautiful planet to go play on. Do something good. It doesn't matter if your something good is this big. You have no idea what it'll grow into.
I once heard a quote that said, choice is the biggest talent that you have.
It really is. It's the biggest talent you have. It's the biggest gift we have.
Mm-hmm.
And the choice of looking at something and seeing it as absolutely horrifying or something special sits here. I have people who say to me, yes, your father was killed. There is no upside to that. Well, yes and no. He was going to die at some point. I mean, it would have been later, but he was going to. How lucky am I that he put me in a position where I didn't have an option but to get on and create a very different career. I always tell people that's his final gift, and I'm going to complain. Why?
Yeah. It's incredible. And, I encounter people so regularly who are in this victim mentality again. Yes, but it's fate. I don't have a choice. Actually, we do. And
every time.
What comes to mind is the movie Invictus.
Right.
And, where Mandela was, when he was in prison, he had a choice. He could go out, get out after 27 years, start a civil war, take over the country, and history would have been different. But he made the choice to be a peacemaker. And he still became leader. And the outcome was different. And he became a legend. He would have been remembered, but he could have been remembered for all the wrong things. That was his choice. He could have been in that prison, and over 27 years, everybody would have understood if he was better and would have started a war. But he came out as a peacemaker, and that was choice.
He made a choice. He made a choice to change the emotional DNA. Right. We have somebody, of course, as we know in the world at the moment, who's making a very different choice. He may have started wanting to be a legend. He's going to be remembered as one of the worst people ever on the face of the planet because of the choice he made. So yes, it goes back to that victim piece. When you make a choice, is it going to come from your heart? Because if it comes from somewhere else, you will simply start down the perpetrator path. It is that simple. But if you come from the heart, you have an adventure that people cannot even begin to imagine. And it's not for the chosen few, it's for those who choose it. Simple.
Yeah, sometimes I think if people just understand how much power we really have,
oh yeah,
the world would be a completely different place.
But I couldn't agree with you more.
So stuck in that, oh, but I cannot help it. It's just the way it is. Oh, this is going to happen, doom and gloom. It's so going to be live in fear all the time. But we have choice. And we have choice is tremendous power.
Yes. And what we're doing at the moment is reliving ancient history.
Absolutely.
That when we stop reliving ancient history and we begin to shift, and everybody can do it. Yeah. When we start that and we bring in the adventure and the fun and the love, because love is there, it just is. And we begin to take charge of our own lives, one sentence at a time, one thought, one feeling, one action. You can no longer have that ancient history as your outcome. It's literally not possible.
Right.
And when we start to teach that en masse, when people realize that it's not about blessed are the sinners and blessed are the meek and blessed are the, when we start to go, I don't have to keep being a sinner. I don't have to keep being meek. I don't have to be downtrodden. I can do something. You see it all the time. And yet we don't pay attention to it. We see somebody from the project or somebody from one of the indigenous tribes and they go, okay, you were decimated. What are you going to do with that? What do you want to make wonderful from this? I have a Jewish friend who said to me the other day, you don't understand. We were born to suffer. I said, great. And how many more generations are you dooming to the same? Or are you going to be responsible? And that's all of us. We can all sit and suffer like saints and get to the pearly gates, and I swear they're going to send us back and say, you failed. Or we could turn around and go, that was beautiful. We have choice. I wonder what adventure we can have.
Right.
But I'm telling you, they're going to turn us back. Fail. Epic fail.
I can see that happening. I really can. I talk about that myself, actually. I truly believe that we all are put on this earth to really enjoy it, to just have joy, just to say back, whoever it is that you believe created this earth, thanks. It's awesome. I'm going to make.
And what can I do to add to this?
Right? Yeah, just it's great. Thanks. And
yes.
And we won't need to come back and do it again.
And you know, Fran, in that simple thing that you just said, how often do you go through a day and go, I'm so grateful, and really feel it? I'm so grateful. You try doing that for a month and tell me you can still be a victim.
Yeah.
Not possible.
It's interesting because I find that even the conversations I have now is changed. There are certain things that I don't talk about that anymore. I don't believe that anymore. my husband and I had a conversation today about somebody I had a chat with a few days ago who was living in so much fear because this politician, this, that politician, this.
Right.
I promise you this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and it's doom and gloom and gloom and gloom. Yes, but this has been prophesied and this has been promised. And like, so change it.
Exactly.
Change you, change from here.
Say it's set in stone. They said, if you don't do something, here's what's coming down the pipeline. All of those patterns back there are telling you this is coming. If you do something, however, life could be very different.
You should start to see life through the lenses of hope. Everything
I love your hope.
start to change.
And people are going to tell you, don't do that. That's rose-tinted glasses.
Oh, bring it on.
Wear them proudly, because that's what we need. I have a lady who sent me a piece that I keep here. It said, we have enough people in the world telling it like it is. We could use a whole lot more who would tell us how it could be.
I like that.
Yeah. Really, please. It's literally, the prophecies for me are here's what you get if you just stay stagnant. I found that as well with people who will say to me, I think I probably had one reading in my life and thought, oh, this is what's going to happen to me, and went, wait a minute, not so fast. What am I listening to? Why am I making it my reality and truth? What do I want the truth to be? Yeah, let's not do that one. Thanks very much.
And that's fear creation.
It is. And that's something that I think we need to teach each other as human beings, is less fear. In fact, less fear, more here.
Right.
If we could teach less fear, if we could teach people, because we are raised on a language and a diet of fear. If we could start putting the other in, it makes such a big difference. What do you mean you can't do that? You mean you can't do it that way? So let's look at how you can. What do you mean I'm triggered whenever I see that? What's triggering you, and how's it trying to give you a gift? Let's look. I have a big thing when people say to me, you've got to be so careful you don't re-traumatize someone. No, if the trigger's coming up, it's an invitation to you to go, how do I look at this differently this time? How do we break that pattern of thinking? Just one. I'm not going to die. Hey, I survived that. Good. Okay, we're good. I'm not going to die. There's a new thought. I don't need to panic every time the front doorbell rings. Sometimes they bring me really nice mail. Just the little tweaks. Just the little tweaks.
Yeah, one step at a time. One thought, one feeling, one action.
That's it.
That's all it takes. And then eventually your actual DNA changes, which is incredible.
Yeah,
just
it
the idea
does.
of the physical will actually change. And so the next generations don't have to deal with it anymore.
Exactly. So somebody gave me a really good analogy. They said your genetic structure is the loaded gun. Your epigenetic structure, which is your emotional DNA, is the thing that pulls the trigger or deactivates it. Which one are you going to choose?
Great analogy.
Yeah.
Well, Judy, as usual, this was absolutely delightful having you, your amazing insights, your strength, and the way you are bringing hope to the world. Thank you so much for again being with us. And remember, episode number 100,
100.
You will be our guest.
100, I will be your guest. I can't wait for that to happen. Thank you for having a hopeful show.
Thank you.
It's so important. I hope it spreads like a virus, really, really fast and deep.
That's the one virus I would be very happy to have spread.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say thank you to Fran in English. I'm going to say mooi bly en baie dankie in Afrikaans always.
Thank you so much again.
Judy, you have some courses coming up on commune, right? Commune 1, is it?
It sounds true one.
Sounds true, right?
Sounds true one. They haven't released those details yet, but they will be coming up. I have a free 3-hour one this Saturday. If anybody goes to my website, if they just sign up, they will get that email, and it's really to teach what I can in the 3 hours. Then February, I've got relationships in Dallas. April, I have leadership DNA in Dallas. July, I have emotional DNA, the basic, because it comes right before the money DNA, which is in November at Disney World. And where the others are all 3 days and usually over a weekend, Disney World's one is a 4-day event. And I make sure that people really have time to play. So park tickets are included for after hours. So that's part of the ticket. But yeah, it's that whole series of events. If you know your emotional DNA, you really have no reason to be stuck. And that's the whole point of all of the events.
Wonderful.
Sounds wonderful, is right.
And the 3-hour event this Saturday, will it be recorded?
Yes, they're going. The purpose of that is it's a couple of things. To teach as much as I can, to give that out, and also to record it so that we can use pieces of that, so that we can show people what we're talking about. So it will be recorded and then it'll be edited and used. Will they send out a recording? I'm not sure, but I can certainly ask.
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
good.
and it'll be at 12 o'clock through 3 Central. Because we have all of these time zones. And then, of course, the other things like the meditations, the constellations meditations, they're all there. The book is there. We're looking at, I'm starting to think about books about truly getting us to a place where victimhood is no longer attractive.
Yeah. I would be so delighted if that message can sink in. It will change the world.
I think what we've got to do is we've got to find a game that's more exciting, because victimology has become exciting, but it's a little like drinking fast food milkshakes. It gets old.
Right.
And
It's
maybe
kind of like, kind of like smoking, right? Smoking used to be, something to do.
Very
and now
hip. Very hip.
It's
I'm hoping that the next trend is for us to discover that we are really capable, that victims, after a while, it gets cheap and there's a much nicer dish on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. So Judy, your website is judywilkins-smith.com.
That's right. They can find me there on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure again, Judy, and we're gonna bring you back on number 100.
100, ours. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And if you enjoyed Judy today, and if you enjoy what we have here to spread the hope, there's a subscribe button underneath. And it's been a true pleasure being here with you, our viewers, with Marina, with Judy, one more week. And it's always a blessing. And we're always grateful for that.
And have a lovely week. And please keep your snow.
We're quite generous, right?
Yes, we are quite generous. we should say, I'm sorry, that we're truly Canadian.
We can do that too. We're apologetic and we're quite generous.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you,
Take
Fran.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.